Alright, what's up, yo? This is gonna be turmeric chicken, sweet potatoes, and sauteed zucchini. First step you're gonna do is you nasty asses need to wash your hands. Alright, so this is the chicken I use. I get it from Winco. Tenderbird, boneless, skinless. Best chicken I've ever had in my life, yo. So you're gonna want your chicken defrosted. I like to just leave it in the bag, leave it in the refrigerator for 24 to 48 hours, and you should be pretty much mostly defrosted by then. Alright, so for this marinade, I actually learned this while working at a restaurant, but I kind of put my own spin on it, and then just added turmeric at the end for some nice color and whatnot. So you're gonna use Italian seasoning. I have Olive Garden, not a sponsor. Also Tenderbird's not a sponsor. So we'll probably do, for one bag of chicken, about half a cup. Buffalo sauce, again, we'll do probably about half of how much Italian you did. I'm gonna do about 1/4 of a cup there. And then from here, this has already got some pretty good flavor. I usually like to use the premix blends from whatever store, whatever premix blend you like, they're all good. It has all your basic stuff in there. Garlic, salt, pepper, onion, and then usually some kind of herbs and stuff like that. So I prefer this roasted garlic and herb Grillmate McCormick seasoning. Again, not a sponsor. And I usually go pretty heavy on this stuff too. So this right here is kind of a cross between a marinade and just kind of seasoning the outside. This one is garlic and herbs. And then of course we have our turmeric right here. And remember, this stuff is strong. If you put a lot of it, that's cool, it's better for you, but it's gonna have more of an Indian type of flavor. If that's what you want, even better. If you just kind of want the health benefits and you kind of want it to have that good color but not be so strong, I'd probably only add about a tablespoon of this, and that'll give it all the color you need. On top of the premix seasonings, I like to add a little extra granulated garlic and a little extra black pepper. One thing I would note is I would not use fresh garlic, especially on anything that you're gonna use on an open grill or charbroiler. You're very likely to burn it. If you want that fresh garlic flavor, I would just add it at the end type of thing. But yeah, so we'll add a little bit more black pepper, and I already added a little extra garlic, and then now we're just gonna toss it up and let this sit. You can marinate this for, you know, sometimes I'll do it right before throwing it on the grill. I usually try to give it at least 30 minutes. That's a good estimation. You could do it overnight too if you want, but I probably wouldn't do it any longer than like a full day. So while our chicken is marinating, we're gonna go ahead and get our sweet potatoes in the oven. They're gonna take just about as much time as the chicken to cook. So we'll throw that in, throw our chicken on the grill, cook our veggies, and everything should be done at about the same time. So we got our sweet potatoes here. You can wash them off, but I actually prefer to peel them and take the skin off of them. So in that case, we'll just peel it. And by doing that, you're taking all of that stuff off with it. If you have any areas where it's like little knots in them and whatnot, just go over it a couple extra times. Peel that off till you got a nice clean sweet potato. Okay, sweet potatoes are peeled. I'm gonna go ahead and throw all the little bits in the trash, and then we'll chop them up. By the way, PS on a side note, Aaron Troby, this recipe is for you. I love you. Alright, so we're gonna chop these up into chunks. I'll start by taking the ends off. Those are still good, don't throw those away. We'll save those, use them for later. Number one reason people cut themselves when using a knife is because they have a dull knife. Make sure you have a sharp knife. If you don't, invest in some good knives and keep them sharpened. Another thing you wanna do is have this thing called like a cat's paw. So your knife should come up against this middle knuckle right here. This may seem scary and it's very awkward at first, but this is actually the safest place to be. There's never gonna be anything for it to cut. I could literally cut blindfolded and I would never cut myself. So another thing I'm gonna do, especially with something really hard like the sweet potato, is I'm gonna dig the front end of the knife in, like I have it here, and then from here, the knife is in the potato. I'm gonna take my hand away, put it on the back of the knife, and we'll chop down like that. So we're cutting our potatoes into little chunks like this. We're gonna dice them up now. So we'll just take them, cut them lengthways, go this way, and then again, we're gonna use that same paw technique You want to get them to roughly about the same size cubes. Obviously they don't need to be perfect, but if I were to try to cook this piece of sweet potato and this piece of sweet potato in the same oven at the same time, they're gonna be done at 2 totally different times. So just having them at relatively the same volume will help them cook more evenly. Alright, so now we got all our sweet potatoes cut up. Extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. Those are what I prefer to use. What you don't want to buy is vegetable or canola oil. Those are very, very terrible for you. This one and extra virgin olive oil are actually healthier for you. They're good for your heart. So you want to add just enough oil to coat them. You don't want to go too crazy. You don't want them to be greasy or oily or anything. And then as far as seasonings for it, I like to use the dried basil. If you wanted to use fresh, just throw it in at the very end. So we'll do about equal parts of basil and parsley. So I like quite a bit of herbs on the sweet potatoes. And then this is the roasted garlic and herb seasoning again. I'm just gonna throw just a little bit of this, not too much. And potatoes love salt. They absorb tons of salt. So whenever you're cooking anything with potatoes, you probably wanna add just a little bit more salt than you think you need, and then that should be good. So now from here, we're just gonna toss it up. All right, so once you get it all tossed up, you can see that it's kind of like shiny, reflective, but at the bottom of the bowl you don't have like puddles of oil or whatever. You're all good to go. Now that it's all tossed up, lay all that out on a sheet pan. Try to get it in a single layer, not stacked up or anything crazy like that. And then we'll just still go ahead and throw this in the oven at 350. And I don't want to give you a specific time because you'll just have to feel them. Once they're soft, they're done. For me, this usually takes, with this size, about 35 minutes or so. 35 minutes is probably good. We've moved to the wonderful outdoors right here at almost sunset. We're just gonna scrape the grill and I'm actually gonna hit it with a little canola spray. All right, or whatever, cooking spray, Pam, you know what it is. We got our turmeric chicken right here. It's been marinating for about 30 minutes or so. Just gonna go ahead and throw these on the grill. And you can see how it's not very liquidy. That's good, that's what you want, because it's gonna help it stick to the chicken and stay there instead of sinking all down and burning at the bottom. So turn the heat down to about medium right there. We're gonna close the lid. I'll probably let this go for about 5-10 minutes and then flip it over and do the other side. Careful, because if you have your grill too hot, you'll completely char the outside before the inside is cooked. So especially with chicken, I like to keep it at medium, mid-low. Alright, one last little secret. Once I throw all the chicken on the grill, I like to actually spray the top side of the chicken. That way when I flip it over, it still has spray to prevent it from getting all stuck to the grill. And then let it do its thing.
5 minutes later.
Okay, we're back in the wonderful great outdoors. We're gonna give a little flippy flip to the chicken. This is what I'm talking about with the turmeric chicken. See how it was kind of like, it's like pinkish and reddish. Once that turmeric starts to grill onto the meat, it gives it that beautiful yellow color right there. So I flipped it. This is the first flip, about 5-6 minutes in. We'll flip it again in another 5 or 6 minutes, and then we'll check for doneness then. And then if it still needs more time, then we'll just keep checking it every 3-4 minutes or so and flipping it until it's ready. All right, we're back inside. Now we have some zucchinis right here. So we can go in and give them a quick wash and then we'll chop them up. All right, so everything on the zucchini is good except for that tiny little end right there and then this end right here. So I try to cut it off as close to the edge as possible. That way you have the most usable product. That way of this whole zucchini, you're only losing that tiny little bit. Alright, from here we're gonna go ahead and cut them in half down the middle and then chop them into pretty big chunks. If you cut them too small, your zucchini will turn into mush. So you want them about that size right there. So now we have our zucchini all chopped up. We're just gonna go ahead and saute it real quick in a pan. The key to sauteing anything is you want really high heat and you're gonna cook it for a short amount of time and then we'll throw the seasonings on. Then the problem people have with zucchini is you throw it into a cold pan and then it turns to mush. Make sure the pan's super hot before you throw it in. Just be careful though. So with the zucchini, you're just trying to get a nice hard sear on it on the outside. Right before it's done, we'll add the seasonings to it. I'm just gonna add a little bit of the lemon pepper seasoning right here. And you wanna do this at the end because if you add it at the very beginning, the seasoning will actually burn. So now we got some good sear. There's enough residual heat in the pan and in the zucchini to finish cooking it. So I'll cut the heat any longer and it's just gonna turn to mush. Okay, so the way I check for the doneness of chicken is with a thermometer. You can always do that. As long as it's at about 165, you're good to go. If it's even at 163 or so, the carryover heat will finish it cooking. But when I'm out here, what I like to do too is I'll feel it with my finger, and if it feels pretty firm, then it's most likely done. If it's squishy and soft right there, then it's still raw in the middle. So once the muscle's all firmed up, that's how you'll know it's finished. So this one's still pretty soft right here. You see how it squishes in? It's not cooked yet. This one right here, however, it doesn't squish nearly as much. It's more of a feel than a visual, but this one is closer to being done than this one. Chicken's done, finito. Now we cut our zucchini. You can see there's a lot of extra oil. That's fine, that's no big deal. What we're gonna do is actually throw it on here and let the paper towel kind of absorb all that extra oil. And we're just gonna let this sit and rest for a little bit. That does not look good. Okay, so we're gonna check the potatoes now. They've been in here for about 30 minutes or so. As you can see, they're starting to look pretty tasty right there. And all you basically wanna see is if you can squish them like that, they're done. If they're still hard, then they're not done. Now we're done. Turmeric, potatoes, and veggies, all good to go. So we got our chicken right here, potatoes and zucchini, and all of them finished at about the same time. We're gonna start by putting our potatoes on the bottom of the plate. Remember, presentation is key. And you always want the protein or the highlight of the dish to shine. So we're gonna throw some potatoes down here, take this chicken and cut it on a bias. The nice little strips right here. We'll throw that on top of our potatoes, just like that. Grab some of this zucchini right here for the side. And then there you go. Chicken, turmeric chicken, herb sweet potatoes, and sauteed zucchini.